Hello, and welcome to Just Therapist Things, where we talk all things therapy. My name is Jordan, and I am an associate marriage and family therapist from Southern California. I currently work in a private practice where we focus on child anxiety reduction, and I also do some work for a nonprofit cancer support organization. Hello, everyone. Glad to have you here. I am currently studying for the California MFT licensure exam, and I thought it may be helpful to record some study materials to help others that are studying. I purchased my study materials from Jerry Grossman, and it has been great. I appreciate how they provide physical textbooks and flashcards, and also virtual study groups and practice tests. I hope this episode helps you on your journey to become a licensed marriage and family therapist in California. First, I am going to discuss some logistics about the California MFT exam. So the exam has 170 questions and you have 4 hours to complete it. The exam will be taken on a computer in an authorized testing center. There is a different variety in the questions, such as short sentences, questions, and vignettes. Each question has 4 possible answers, and it is up to you to decide which is the most correct. You have the ability during the test to flag a question and return back to it. Depending on the rules of the testing center, you may be allowed a certain amount of breaks during the test, and it is super important to take advantage of those breaks to use the restroom, get water, get a snack if needed. Good luck. We got this. Today, I will be discussing the 12 defense mechanisms that were developed by Freud for the psychoanalytic and psychodynamic theories. This will be a shorter episode to provide definitions and examples of the defense mechanisms to be played as much as you need in order to help you study. So let's dive in. Defense mechanism number 1 is reaction formation. Reaction formation is a way of defending against a threat by expressing the opposite of it. An example is a person who is cheating on their spouse condones cheating when talking to their kids. So reaction formation is a way of defending against a threat by expressing the opposite of it. Next is projection. Projection is attributing your own unacceptable desires or impulses onto others. For example, in a group setting, a member feels that they are holding back and not being vulnerable. So this member speaks out loud and accuses the other group members of holding back and not being vulnerable. This is projection. So attributing your own unacceptable desires or impulses onto others. Next is sublimation, which is transferring unacceptable or undesirable energy to other channels. An example is using sports to express aggressive feelings in a healthy way. So sublimation is transferring unacceptable or undesirable energy to other channels. Next, repression. Repression is a means by which painful or threatening thoughts and feelings are excluded from awareness. An example is when traumatic events that occur with children are repressed, as they often are. So repression is a means by which painful or threatening thoughts and feelings are excluded from awareness. Next, and similarly sounding, is regression. So the last one was repression. This is regression. Regression means reverting to less mature behavior. An example is an adult who has temper tantrums. And it is important to note that regression can be a sign of trauma, especially sexual abuse in children. So if let's say 11-year-old starts wetting the bed, that could be a sign of sexual abuse. So always look for that in the answer choices on the exam. Again, regression is reverting to less mature behavior. Denial is protecting yourself from unpleasant reality by refusal to perceive it or face it. An example is a person who is in denial of a drinking problem, although they have many DUIs. So denial is protecting yourself from an unpleasant reality by refusing to face it. Next is rationalization, which is the process of explaining away failures or losses. An example is if someone cheats on a test and they say, but everyone does it. That is rationalization, the process of explaining away failures or losses. Next is introduction, which is the process of taking in and assimilating others' behaviors, values, or personality traits. An example is when an abused person becomes the abuser. That is introjection, which is the process of taking in and assimilating others' behaviors, values, or personality traits. Next is identification, which is when a person defends against inferiority by aligning with successful people, organizations, or causes. An example of this is someone who has low self-esteem or feels inferior, who identifies with someone popular or of high social status. So that is identification, when a person defends against inferiority by aligning with successful people or things. Next is displacement. Displacement is discharging feelings or impulses from a threatening person or object to a less threatening or safer target. An example is a person who is angry at their boss and takes it out on their partner when they get home. This is displacement, discharging feelings or impulses from a threatening person or object to a less threatening or safer target. Lastly, there is ritual and undoing, which is behavior that intends to make amends with a feeling of guilt. An example is a person who has an affair and after each meeting has to take a shower after to wash away the quote-unquote sin. So ritual and undoing is behavior that intends to make amends with a feeling of guilt. These are the 12 defense mechanisms which align with the idea in psychodynamic theory that behavior is based on unconscious motivations rather than free will and conscious choice. Thanks for listening, and I hope this helps you and me to study for and pass the California MFT licensure exam. Talk to you soon.